Today is June 5th, year 2019. This is the third part of the video number 7 on financial planning, tacit knowledge, entrepreneurship. And this is the fact checks for the raising capital through equity or debt financing. Now, raising capital, I know that previously we talked about in the video number 6 was a decision-making process. Video number 7A, we talked about various facts. Video number 7, part 2, we talked about again the various facts. And I believe we left off with the regulations, the fact check. So obviously we raise capital for various reasons. And one of the reasons that we have is to either we want to either we want to introduce a new product, service, or we want to extend our operations to a different country, different zone, different region, and it could be in the same country, or it could be somewhere far from where your current or existing operation is. So, given the circumstances, so you're gonna have. Now let's get back to, let's not talk about the previous two videos, because you can go back and check them. The facts number 26 is that I ran out of storage, and so this is the third video on the third part of the video number 7. So as a business owner, if your business is regulated, then we must have good understanding about the compliance, the regulations of that business. Now, what do you mean by having a good regulations, having a good relationship with the regulators? I don't mean that, we gotta be buddy-buddy. There is no buddy-buddy, there might be, but I mean, we want to make sure that the relationship that we possess or we develop or we grow with them is strictly professional, and it's strictly based on the very bona fide relationship where we would have where as a business owner you could obtain information from them when you need something they could stand by your side. Regulations, the way I look at it, a regulation is actually a friend to me than anybody else, because they actually keep me compliant, in compliant with allows me to comply with all the policies. So my legal cost could go down, right? So the more you comply with regulations, it is more likely that our legal cost will go down. So I think from that perspective, regulators are actually I look at them as a learning peers, where I could learn many things about regulations, comply with their, grow my business or grow our business in a very compliant manner, in a very efficient way, so our legal bill could go down. And in fact, if you deal with a lot of lawyers, I think I don't want to, excuse me if my comment is incorrect, but there is no assurance that when legal happens, whether a lawyer would probably tell you that they will win or lose. So there is no point taking on unnecessary legal risks. So that's something that you do want to address that. So having a good relationship with the regulators do help to promote your business effectively and efficiently. So be aware of that. If your business is not efficient, then it may not be effective. If you are not compliant, it is most likely you will have efficiency problem. You're going to run into efficiency issue. And if you fall into a legal efficiency lack of legal efficiency, then you might run into a great disaster. Then it might give, depending on the legal issues matter, it might also give rise to going concerns. It might give rise to lack of, losing less interest from the investors to invest money into your company. So I come across the company at the Security Exchange Commission, and they were denied, and they were denied because they had potential lot of litigations, and where the lawyer wasn't really providing a good letter stating that he can win or lose. So that was on the notes disclosure and on the financial statements. And you could also, you could probably, if I'm an investor, I could probably demand more letters, more documents from the investor relations from that corporation. So keeping business legal and ethical and complying with the regulations, if it is regulated business, the best and effective way of conducting a business. So that was number 26. Number 27, excuse me, you still have that problem in my voice, so excuse me, I have a bit of cold. So number 27, so I still have the same pen as I showed you yesterday. I mean this morning, and so I still have the same pen. So I still, I have those, I have those notes. The fact check, as I'm producing, there might be one more video on the fact check before we really talk about the new way of financing and whether it will be successful or not. Okay, so number 27 is that are they effectively helpful sorting the legal issues? I already talked about this, right? So which is are they effectively helpful sorting out the legal issues, right? So that's something that they can't help you with the legal issues, but they can probably keep if you're compliant with if you comply with the policy, it is most likely your legal bill will be down or it will be reduced. So number 28, would that be competitors? Remember we talked about the competitions. Every business, no matter where in this earth or no matter wherever in this planet, will have some sort of competitions. And these competitions comes from the industry itself, right? Because we all go for the same market, same clientele, right? Because our clientels are human, right? We're not, we might have clientele that is probably cats and dogs or animals. If you're a veterinarian, then you probably see your clientele is probably dog, but still people goes there, right? People has to take their dogs to them, right? So we at all time we'd be dealing with people, right? So your clientele is actually people, but the servicing might be something else. But your client, your consumers are actually people, right? So now, maybe I shouldn't produce that statement, but you would have to excuse me if it came out ignorant. But I wanted to tell you that we will be dealing with people at all time, and we want to have a people skills so that we could address our competitions in a very, very polite way, very, very effective way, because we're going to have competitions at all the time. So the fact is that since we're going to have a competition, then, so it'd be healthy competition is a good idea, because we want to have we have a competition bureau in Canada, and, might be able to talk to them as well. So there might be one in your locale or in your jurisdictions or in your regulatory areas. There might be a competition bureau who can actually help you with understanding how the competition works. And if you call them, if you speak to them, they might be able to guide you through as well. So that's something that you want to look into it. And worst case, you really have to keep in mind. It is really tough out there, and everyone wants to go after the same dollar. Everyone wants to go after the same clientels, same money, right? So the economy, the world economy is growing, but at a constant, at a growing rate, but it's not really extremely variable. But the growth is very linear, so it's not exponential. So we are going after the same dollar, same buck, same clientele, same people. The question is, you really have to keep this in mind. Are your competitors trying to buy you over, trying to shut you down, trying to hostile take over your business, trying to put you out of the business? Or so are there any going concern risk arising from your competitions? That's something that you do want to address that. So that was number 28. It's very important. One of the business risk arising from the competitions, right? So that's something that you do want to look into it. Now, remember we talked about if you're financing for the new venture or new operation, and you're planning to expand your business out of Canada or out of your local jurisdictions, so locale or the native country or wherever your business is currently located, then you want to make sure that whether you have a team in abroad or the new place where the new operations will be. This is very important, and I'm sure you know that. These are very basic fact checks, so you probably know you're a very smart man because you're running your own business, running your own show, so you are going to know, this is very common sense. You would have that. So this is, let's not talk about it, so I'm sure you're going to know this. And number 20, that was 29, and this is number 30th, which is the again, the number 30th, I kind of talked about it before, so let's keep that number 29, which is whether we have a team in place in the foreign country where our business will be. So that's something that we want to talk about it, but from your business experience that you already have dealt with that before in your existing location, so it won't be that difficult for you to manage a team. The problem we're going to run into, which is the number 30th. So this is what the exact line that I actually fact checked, that I write it down for me to tell you, which is I wrote down, is that if you're financing to expand into a new zone, jurisdictions, country, then you are aware of the regulations in that particular region. So you must know the regulations, that particular, the policies, the governing policies, the law of the local law. This is something that you must know, the local law, the law for that particular jurisdictions, the regulations if the business is regulated. That's something that you want to know. Often this is very, very common in banking industry. So I'll talk about the Bank Act. I'll talk about the how a new bank, a home bank, would operate operate as a foreign bank. We'll talk about the efficiency of the banking. But this is really common in banking and financial industry. They face that all the time. Financial industry is interrelated. You won't believe, if you do a conduct a transaction in Canada, the same transaction could be under scrutiny in another part of the world, right? So that's something that you really got to be careful. So if your business is regulated, something you really need to know. So you're not dealing with this regulations just in Canada. You're dealing with the regulations another part of this world, right? Could be in I like to take this name, could be Brazil or Bangladesh or Pakistan or Afghanistan, or it could be I don't know, like some African country where there is in a country where there's a law is actually not strong enough to provide you protection or some sort of guidance through the regulatory compliance. So you want to know that ahead of time, right? So this is something that you really should think about it. And number 31 is what problems your new expansion may face, and do you have a solution for that? So once you go, the reason we finance the business is we want to grow our business. Remember, I talked about in the first business. Now I want to address this. Now, when it comes to the world of financing, the internal growth means, now I want you to remember the first video we talked, I think third or fourth video I talked about, in the world of finance, the internal growth actually means growth by profit, growth by revenue. Now, in my past video, I wanted to keep it simplified, so I referred that the external growth with the, so don't get confused. Maybe I shouldn't confuse you with this, but let's not get confused with the idea of internal growth and external growth. So, but rather talk about the, if your business faces problems in the new expansion, a new area, then you want to find out. You want to find out about the solutions ahead of time, whether they're solvable. If not, then what's the point of getting into a problem? Because last thing we want a problem, right? We do not want problem. We want to keep the operation as smooth as possible. We don't want any whistleblowers whistling for false, a false claim. Or we don't want that, because every interruption in business, the ocean is often quieter than a sea, right? So the reason is because we want to, from my understanding over the years, that what I've noticed, people who are rich, the company who became rich and really wealthy, they have produced this wealth under certain conditions. One of the conditions that they remain calm at all times. They remain in peace condition. They remain peaceful. So we grow wealth in silence, in quietly. Giant. The corporation become giant. By remaining in very peaceful manner with the world, the policy. And so another way of looking at it is that we want to address our problem in a peaceful manner, in a very civilized manner. We don't want to, if you're going after the black diamond, right? So the countries, you're gonna probably face those problems, right? So if you are into mining industry, and if you're going to that country where there is a dictatorship, probably you're gonna face that brutality. You're gonna have a problem with the risk of your life and our currency, your money, or things like that. But again, I personally have not been there. So please, if you're listening to this video from that part of the world, please excuse me if my statement was ignorant about that particular country, and perhaps this will give you an idea how we feel about going into a country and operating a business. Maybe it should give you some idea that you could actually be more providing or accommodating to us, so that we could invest more money in your country, so that you could become richer, wealthier, right? So that is something that you do want to think about it. If you're listening to this video from those countries where there's a dictatorship, political unrest, civil war, and there's a lot of things that going on that gives rise to concerns whether the business be successful in that particular region, whether the assurance of life. That's the main key question. Before I open my business into jurisdictions or area like this, in a country like that, does my employee or my management team have assurance in their life, whether the life is secure under the current government, under the current existing lawmakers over there? I want to take a look into that. It's very important, because these are really, really tough questions. A lot of large corporations address that before everything else, before them. So they want to make sure that whether they can change their lemon to lemonade, right? So that's something that, but they have to go through that fact check to make sure that they can operate under those circumstances. Now, number 32 is something that have you or your company or your team developed any method or formula to compute or estimate the success rate for your new product or service, or the new expansion, right? In investment industry, I was working on a formula quite some times ago, a new product development. And I sent an email to a professor at the U of T, University of Toronto, from my email, which is Mijanur. Actually, that's my email address was Rahman.MijanurRahman@gmail.com. And I sent some idea about. I was struggling with the development of the formula. Whether should I go? What trigonometric formula should I be using to develop that particular specific formula to understand the success rate of a new product in the investment industry. So I sent my ideas, and brainstorming concepts, how to actually. Then also I addressed the error corrections of that formula, but I wasn't able to. Decide whether should I be using a sine, cosine, or a tan, because we actually deal with a lot of market psychology, behavioral psychology, then the directional behavior of human. So this is something that we deal with that it was very complex. And I think by using the past data and with the behavioral psychology of people, I think it is very effective. Would be for any company can develop a formula or estimate their success rate or even the revenue from that particular product by using that formula. So my concept I sent out. Now many years ago, I read something, which is often if you see ant has a directional behavior. People and human, we follow a directional behavior. We have a tendency to go towards certain directions. We don't walk like wavy, right? We don't walk. We often try to walk straight. Ant walk straight. Bird, they fly straight. A snake, they don't walk straight, right? So this is actually a behavioral psychology that is used in a product succession. So often you'll see NASA, they used the bird migration rate by using the tangent of the sound. So they use this sound tangent to estimate how many birds were likely to fly in a new zone from another country, right? So they are using or probably fly from this particular region to a warmer country. They use a tangent sound. They use this tangent theta to develop a formula with the other. So there are so many other formulas as well. So they use the technique for the sound. So those birds were listening to the sound, right? I believe I read that for a long time ago, many years ago. So if I'm incorrect, please read that formula. It's called tangent with directional behaviors. A bird migration formula, actually. It's a bird migration formula. But now this formula has a certain sound. They follow the sound and the weather pattern. So it's slightly different from the psychological behavioral point of view of a human. So we may be able to get away with 10 with error corrections, or maybe a sine or cosine. It's been a long time. There might be lagging as well. So you'd have to correct the formula. You'd have to develop. I don't want to get into this formula development right now, but to give you an idea, then investment industry often before they bring a new product, they actually estimate the revenue from that particular product. They don't have. I don't believe up to this date they don't have actual formula. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't come across any. So that's how I was working on a new formula development, the succession of a new success rate of a new product. the revenue from a new product, right? So how much revenue can we generate if we had similar product was in the market, right? So if we get the data from the similar product from the market, then I could get the idea of how many people will buy, most likely buy this product, and how much revenue can we generate. So that's something that, you want to take a look into that. So with that, you have that in place, because you're going to go into a new zone, new product, and if the product is not successful, what's the point of financing? So you want to make, if you are into a specialized industry, then if you're producing an investment, if you're producing an investment product, if you're developing an investment product, and you want to, it is best that you really estimate all the details, right? So because a lot of people will invest money into your product, so you want to make sure that product is successful, right? You want to make sure the product is successful, whatever you're selling. If it's a new investment and the underlying asset is something else, you want to ensure that whether that underlying asset be purchased, whether that underlying asset is success, will have a success rate or will be successful in the market. So you want to estimate that as much accuracy, with as much accuracy as possible, with as less errors as possible. So that's something that you want to, as an investor, as an investment, as a financial planner, as a financial guy or coming from the accounting finance background, we want to see that, we want to see as, or my background was in college was a bit of science, so I'm a bit of familiar with this. And also part of my before I studied the accounting, financial planning, and the various investment and license with the investment and financial industry. I studied an engineering program at a university. So my background is actually come from engineering background, even though I only finished very limited portion of that program. But that was in 2002 or 3, I think was the last year, was 2003, but it's a long time ago. But anyway, so from having that knowledge, the knowledge about mathematics, physics, chemistry, and science, it allows me to foresee certain things, so I can understand the product that, in an engineering product really good. I might understand a product that is good for the medical industry, because I have some I don't have experience in the medical field, but at some point, I wouldn't get to that discussion today, but in my financial career, I worked with many doctors as their financial planner, but I won't get into the number of the doctors I've taken them as a client, but rather I had the opportunity, maybe I should place it, I had the opportunity to work within the medical industry, meeting a lot of medical professionals. Some I were able to help, many or some I wasn't able to help. So coming from that background, and my book, Financial Freedom, a Fictional Financial Plan, it's really effectively well read would be a good read for the medical professionals or the professionals like doctors, dentists. It's really an amazing, there's a lot of amazing concepts for them: professional corporation, integration of the professional corporations with the personal side of it, retirement through the professional corporations, investment into the professional corporation. There's a lot of the pension plans, the IP, individual pension plans, retirement compensation agreement. But anyway, I'm drifting away from that. I just want to give you an idea that you want to build you want to find out exactly how much, whether the new product will be successful in the particular region where you're promoting to, whatever you're selling, the service product or the new operation, whatever you're doing. You want to find out you want to estimate and find out with as accuracy as possible how much, what would be. It's like a budget. but it's more than a budget, like a projection. But those projections, the accounting projections, are slightly different, okay? And I don't see, I mean, if I'm projecting something, I want to be very scientific as possible, right? So that's why I'm very scientific towards that. I would rather use the scientific data, scientifically as accurate as possible, and then I could combine with the accounting projections, so those data, those estimate, right? So something that you want to figure that out. But anyway. Then we have the number 36. Are you or your team familiar with the global economy? So this is something that we want to make sure that the global economy, because the part of the economy, the new, wherever your new venture would be or new operation would be, or wherever the new product you're marketing to. So let's say, for example, a lot of car companies, you'll see they would produce cars in third world and the market into another region, probably Europe or somewhere else, or they'll produce the car in Europe and market in China or North America, right? Or North American cars being sold to Asia, right? So they're produced probably somewhere else, right? So there's something that you really want to focus on, the global economy. Where are you marketing your product? Where the factory or the operation will be located? Where if there is a political unrest, so you need to know the world economy really well. If you want to go back, if you want to be a global player, maybe I should say correctly politically, if you want to become well recognized as a business owner, as an entrepreneur in a global economy, in the world of globalization, if you want to be recognized, if you want to be a top producer, then you want to find out the world economy. You need to know about what's happening. Now, I don't want to, don't just watch news and try to learn the world economy. I would rather pick up a book or read some some professor's comment, or probably would read the bank's financial estimates, bank's outlook and projections about or financial firms, the agency or investment firm or investment dealers or accounting firms or underwriters. Or actuaries, a lot of legal firms, they produce a lot of law firms, a lot of accounting firms, a lot of investment industry underwriters. They have their magazines, so you might want to read that as well, with the various economic publications, the various financial publications, right? You want to read that. As a business owner, so you probably read all the time at any. Personally, I like to spend about at least like 2 to 3 hours every day on reading. Could be anything. But everyone is different. So some people, they spend 18 hours in reading, right? So some people, they spend the entire day on reading, right? So the minimum time that I would like to put in a day, at least 2 to 3 hours, learning something new, right? Or probably emphasizing an old work, inventing something new, understanding something new, reading something new. So it's a good idea. And you don't have to pick up a book. You could read it from your phone, because the world of technology is really really far ahead and far advanced. So you could read from your phone. You could subscribe something. You could read from internet. You could go to a search engine. You could search something. You could subscribe a newsletter from a well-recognized university. So there's so many ways you could read. You could pick up a book. You could go to a library and read from there, or you could actually, during a commute, a lot of people I notice during a commute, they read, especially a lot of busy personnel, they read during the commute, during the train commute. For me, I don't read during the train commute, so I don't have the pleasure to read during the train commute. I can't. So anyway, so if you can, please do that. Number 37 would be, are your team familiar, whether your team is familiar with the currency risk? So if you're going to a new country, new district, new zone, new jurisdictions, then you want to find out that whether you have a currency risk, and have you hedged that risk. Now, the option hedging a business risk is often you will see if you want to play in a global level or a multinational level, you want to buy various options, futures, and contracts to hedge your risk, right? So this is the business risk, that you hedge your business risk, you hedge your product risk, you hedge many risks. So there are various risks. So you should go back to your finance course if you're reading, if you're a student, if you're listening to this. There are a lot of risks that you could in a business faces. So those risks has to be addressed ahead of time. Then we have, what was it? I think it was number 30, 33 was the global economy, and number 34 was the, I'm a bit off with the numbers, so just in case I'm off with the numbers, you could just figure it out when you're watching the video, which is the numbering those facts. Are your team familiar with the currency risk? So that was number 34, I guess. And number 35 is, do you have a sound and expert middle management team? So often, this is something that I want to talk to you about, is that a lot of company is, previously they used to be a ladder company. Now it's becoming flattened companies. So there are a lot of companies that are actually downsizing the middle management. So they are actually cutting their cost. They want to hold their employee liable, accountability and responsibility. They want to, and they want to pass the savings to the employee, and they actually flatten their corporation, flatten management. So you don't have a layering of management. So there are certain industry often is still there, financial industry, there's a lot of layering because of the segregations of duties, right? So if you don't have a lot of segregations of duties, you could flatten your management. So if you don't need to have a middle management, then you don't. But if you need one, then you must have an expert middle management team, because certain things you cannot avoid. So what's laddering, what ladder management is, and what flatten management is. So let's not talk about it, but rather I would like you to read that. Company that's laddered company. So they would have various management in place. So there would be 3 different managers. They have 3 different managers for 5 employees or 10 employees. So you have supervisor, manager, regional manager, vice president, president, right? So it's like a ladder type. And also don't get confused with this ladder corporations, similar concepts. So you would have, a holding company with trust, but that's something else. Okay, so we're talking about the management. So take a look into that. So what kind of management that you need or your business need. Okay, so whether if you need a middle management, so you might as well have the expert middle management, and which is the number 36, I believe, 35 or 36, which is the, are you receiving a tax or any other types of incentives going into a new district or new zone? That's something you want to figure that out. Remember lemonade? We want to get rid of the problems, and we want to